Mission requirements. We have 8 campuses, but we're only going to talk about 3. Those 3 where the English programs that I'm going to talk about are offered. And finally, we have been awarded prizes 3 times for being an entrepreneurial institution that is supporting students in, for instance, setting up their own company. That's part of what we think is innovative thinking, that if you have a good idea, why not take it to the market? And we can help you set up a company through various programs. Now, what's really important before we go into talking about the various programs is to think about what it's like to study at VM. And here we want to emphasize the fact that theory and practice are basically 2 sides of the same coin. You can't just make do with one of them. You need to learn theory. That's why you study at university. But you also, the way we see it, need to be able to put that theory into a professional context. That is, be able to use the theory. So whatever you do, you will be asked to apply the theory, whether it's to explain a theory or to use it to solve a problem, to work on a case in a for instance in a class, and especially in connection with project work, which is done at the end of each semester. Project work is essential. It's done in groups, and as I said here, people with different backgrounds come together and develop a solution on the basis of their various input, and always trying to address a problem. At the beginning, we will help you define the problem, but as you go more experienced as a student, we will certainly encourage you to and expect you to be able to identify the problem. And the reason why this is so important, especially as you grow more experienced, is that you have an internship typically in the 5th semester. And here you will be working for a company and they will be expecting you to be able to work with their problems and come up with solutions that help these companies. And students experience that what they've learned, the methods, the knowledge, the theory, and also the ability to work in groups and connect with other people. All of that is something that they can use in their internship, and where they create really great results. And they experience that here I can do something which works. And that means once I'm done with my education, I got my degree, I can go straight into a company and start working there. I don't have to think about, do I actually know something which is relevant? It is relevant. You will realize that. Right now, of course, we have the COVID-19 situation, and that means that we have lots of online teaching. We have a lot of experience with that. We've been doing that since May last year, and we're doing it again here. Of course, we hope if you sign up for the semester starting in August, September this year, that we'll be done with all of that. But if for some strange reason we still have to do part of our classes online, we'll be prepared for that and have really experienced teachers who know how to handle this situation. Myself today, I just had a class online, 2nd semester marketing students about marketing communication, and that worked fine. So before we start looking at the various programs, I just want to introduce some of the facilities that we have. You have access to campus day and night, 7 days a week. When we have access to campus. Right now, we are prevented from doing that, but otherwise you will get a key card and then you can go to university in the middle of the night if you need to do that. And sometimes you do, because if you're working towards a deadline together with a project group, you might have to complete something, print out something, do something, print out something in the 3D printer, whatever, working with your group, and you just go there and no one will be supervising you, checking up on whether you're working in a responsible manner, because that is what we expect you to do. We have Makerspace, which is a lab where you can use 3D printers, you can use ARV equipment if you need to visualize something. If you want to create some kind of display material, there's also technical equipment that you can use, and it's free of charge. You only have to pay for the materials. You get sort of basically a driver's license after some instruction, and then you should go and work there to the extent that you need to do that. We have student organizations and clubs that take care of you in your spare time, helping you with the fun part of studying, for instance, parties, organizing parties, excursions, trips, sports events. We have our student incubator group that refers to the entrepreneurship that I talked about before. If you have an idea that you want to put in the market, but you don't really know anything about how to get finance or how to write a business plan, how to promote your product, then you can work with a student incubator group, which is a group of people, both teachers and also student mentors, who can help you set up your company, or at least get, for instance, design a business plan so that you can get started. Finally, we have our Career Service Center, which is really important as you grow more experienced and older in your studies, because at some point we would really like you to focus on, how do I get a job? How do I get a job in Denmark once I've graduated? And the Career Service Center has lots of activities that will support you in that endeavor. They have, you can learn how to develop your CV. That is the list of your qualifications. How do I design or improve my application? They won't do the work for you, but they will support you, and they will come up with all sorts of suggestions and ideas for improvements. They organize various events such as company dating, where students meet with companies on campus once each semester. And that's really a good opportunity for you to promote yourself, to connect with companies, but also for companies to connect with you, because certainly some of them are in great need of graduates, and they need also to show, what do we offer? What can we offer to you that will make us attractive to you as a graduate from VIA? So this is certainly something to consider. As I mentioned earlier, learn Danish when you arrive. We have our Employability Camp. We had this the first time last year, and we're going to repeat it. It's sort of 2 weeks of intensive Danish language, introduction to Danish work culture, social life, and lots of fun together with other students. And of course, once you've done with this 2-week course in August, then you're really set on actually learning Danish at an even higher level. And therefore, we have the local language center, which will arrive on campus to sign you up for language courses. The only investment you have to make in connection with those language courses is your time. They're free of charge, and it is a really good idea to do this. It will help you get interesting jobs as students, and it will certainly help you get a job later on once you've graduated, and will help you get interesting internships in Denmark, because even though Danes are really good at English and can certainly work with you in a professional context, all the fun part of being at work, the socializing, the coffee breaks, stuff like that, it's much easier to become part of that network once you can do it in the local language. So consider this option here. It's 100 euros, very basic fee, and then you have to arrive 2 weeks earlier than you would otherwise have arrived. So here are our locations. We are in 3 locations: Horsens, town of 50,000 people; Herning, another town of 50,000 people; and Aarhus, which is much bigger. It's 300,000 people. Horsens has engineering, architectural technology, construction management, business studies. Herning has VIA design, fashion design and branding and marketing. And Aarhus has architectural technology, construction management, global business engineering, and value chain management. Same programs as in Horsens, same teachers more or less, but just 2 different locations. How to get there? You could fly to Billund. I think there are direct flights from Bucharest. I think at least direct flights from Vienna, and I've also flown from Cluj directly to Billund with Wizz Air. So I think it's easy to get there, cheap and easy, and then you have an hour's drive by bus and train to Horsens, another hour's drive to Herning by bus, and Aarhus takes 1.5 hours, something like that. There's also Aarhus Airport, but it's much smaller, but it's possible. You can fly to Copenhagen, then to Aarhus Airport. And of course, you can also fly to Copenhagen and then take the train from Copenhagen, or Flixbus, cheap solution, will take you 3.5 hours, then you're in Aarhus. So this is the campus at Herning, spring day, very colorful wall. It's sort of you get sort of a sense of art when you go there, and of course that's to do with the programs that we offer there, because here we have fashion design. We have typical situation with 2 final semester students who are working on their bachelor project. These are fashion designers working with materials, color grading, the techniques of sewing and knitting, and of course lots of design theory to back up their designs. This is our new campus in Horsens. It's right in the center, just 200 meters away from the train station, so very easy access to infrastructure. The top of the building you can see all around, I think it's nine floors, so you can see all of Horsens, and it's only 10-15 minutes walk from the one of the accommodation areas. So we're looking forward to this, moving in August, and it's going to be a great experience, I think. There is a YouTube video which I'm not going to show you because sometimes these videos don't really work on Zoom, but I'm sure that you could get this link. I can send the link to you, Ioana, and then you can share it. Yeah, it's a 4-minute video made by one of our students, one of our student ambassadors. He's an architectural technology student, and he's done a really great job of showing what it's going to be like, even though it was done when it was still a building site, and it's super nice and gives you a good view of the surroundings. This is Campus Aarhus, a much bigger campus than any of the others because we have lots of programs here that are not offered in English. For instance, if you want to be a teacher, just one example, there are close to 5,000 students here. But as I said, we have 3 programs here. It's right in the center of Aarhus, super nice location, close to the local river and a park. So that's an option. But if you want a campus which is more international, then consider Horsens for the 3 programs that I mentioned, because they also are offered there. This is just from the top of the building where the value chain managers and the global business engineers are located on the 5th floor. And this is how they could spend their break between lessons. So, accommodation, lots of options. What we think you should do is that you should go to a website, find the navigation bar at the top where it says new student, and then click there, and then you find housing, and then there will be links to all the campus towns and cities that we have, where you can find other links to all the various options. It's there's lots of sort of official student accommodation in Aarhus. I don't think you would find any problem finding something there, but start the process in May. Don't start the process in August when everyone is, trying to get a room. Horsens, we also have accommodation, sort of official student accommodation, and it's also quite easy to get private apartments. Share a house there, and go to our Facebook page, Keeping Up with VIA. There you can ask other students who are already in Denmark, in Horsens, in Aarhus, about where could I find something private? Does anyone know about? Does anyone want to share something with me? And in that way get access to private accommodation. It's a bit more difficult in Aarhus because there are already many students, and Aarhus is a popular place in general, and perhaps also a bit more expensive for private accommodation. But I would certainly go for that in Horsens. Once I've sort of checked in and got a network, start with the official accommodation, then move on to private later on. So these are the programs that we offer. We have AP degree, academic profession programs that's 2-year or 4-semester programs and bachelor's degree programs, and they are in design, business, engineering, and construction. So we'll just briefly mention a few key points about each of them, and then it's your responsibility to find all the detailed information on our website so that you will make an informed choice. So design, very colorful creation here from the catwalk, possibly at a fashion week in Copenhagen. This is, of course, a student project, but otherwise, and therefore very sort of creative and colorful. But otherwise, what the focus is fashion for especially women and girls, and sort of for ordinary customers like you and me. In other words, you could find yourself working for H&M or Zara or Benetton. So it's not haute couture. You're not going to go to Paris to create great fashion, at least not in the first few years. So it's a focus on designing fashion that could be sold in a market to ordinary customers. So there's also this business dimension. You'll be working with the branding and marketing management students in the first semester so that they can learn something about fashion design, and you can learn, if you're a fashion designer, learn something about the business aspect so that you're prepared to think of fashion as something that has to be sold in a market. The branding and marketing students, of course, work with branding and marketing, but always with the fashion industry, the clothing industry as its case. So it's related to that, and you would have to be interested in fashion. Otherwise, I would recommend that you study marketing management, which is a more general program with marketing. Branding and marketing management here focuses on the fashion industry. What are trends going to be like? How are things going to move from now and over the next 2 years? What's going to be fashionable? How do you spot the trends? Those are some of the questions that you will have to ask yourself. And you, of course, get the tools to handle this. You can build on top of this 1.5 years and get a bachelor's degree. As I said, find more info on our website. These are just a few examples of what they will be working with. The fashion designers are very hands-on, in addition to all the creative theory and creative thinking that they have to be working with. They also actually work with the techniques of making fashion. You don't have to be good at sewing or knitting. They will teach you the basics. And I have also spoken to students who say, I hate sewing, but I really like fashion and I can create fashion. I'm not really good at sewing, but I can still create good fashion. So there's this aspect of creative thinking, which is super important. Business programs. The AP degree in marketing management works with, of course, marketing. That is thinking about working with a theory of understanding a market, understanding a company, understanding competitors. What is it that customers want? How can we satisfy customer needs? How can we identify customer needs? How can we promote our product? How can we see who offers something similar? And how do we then compete against other companies that offer the same thing? Just think of two companies that are well known to you, Burger King and McDonald's. They offer the same product. So how do you make yourself different if you're Burger King from McDonald's and the other way around? I think you all know that, for instance, the logo of the two companies is basically very different. So therefore, that's one way of identifying a company and making yourself different. You can build on top of that an international sales and marketing management degree, so you get a full bachelor's degree. Then we have our value chain management program. That is a program that offers you an introduction to production planning, production management, logistics, also marketing, because you need to be able to think of the customer when we design a production solution or service solution in logistics. Just think of IKEA. They need to think about how do we get customers to buy our product even though they have to assemble the product themselves. That's a challenge, but price is certainly one of them. So how do we create the price down? How do we plan our production so the price stays low so we save costs? Okay, moving on to engineering, several programs here. Civil engineering to do with structures and buildings. You see lots of examples here on the right-hand side of the slide here. that are typical for civil engineers: calculating structures in buildings, designing infrastructure, roads, geotechnical installations, foundations for buildings, lots of physics and mathematics in this program. Climate and supply engineering works with water, clean water. How do we save water? How do we purify water once it's been polluted? And how do we save energy? So this is a program which is designed for a changing environment. Global business engineering combines either mechanical or software technology engineering with business studies. You will get an introduction to business strategy, marketing, business finance, and combining all this with engineering. It's 2/3 engineering and 1/3 business and communication. Mechanical engineering, working with machines, gearboxes, sort of conventional mechanical engineering solutions, but also 3D printing and design, working with all sorts of other modern materials, plastics, composite materials. So, for instance, you could find yourself working with the design of a blade for a wind turbine. That could also be something a mechanical engineer would be working with. And they spend a lot of time designing and working with a 3D printer to improve their designs. Material science engineering is not offered this year, but otherwise, if it was, it would be connected with the world of fashion, working with materials and fabrics for the fashion industry and the furniture industry. Fabrics and also plastics, working with development of new products, but also with quality control. And finally, software technology engineering, focusing on software development, both for computers that go inside something else, that what we call embedded engineering or Internet of Things, working with data engineering, that is designing especially databases and database solutions integrated with web solutions. AR and VR are also aspects of this program here. But again, check the website for more details. But it's not a hardware program. It's to do with designing systems and programming. And finally, BA in Architecture, Technology, Construction Management is somewhere in between civil engineering and architecture. You won't become an architect. You will learn about architecture. You won't become a civil engineer, but you will learn about civil engineering. You don't have to do the complex calculations. And then you will be learning a lot about project management and the sort of the financial aspect of buildings, so that you will be a coordinator, connecting the world of the architect with the world of the civil engineer, and planning and implementing construction projects. Lots of planning work there. Super interesting job, I think, because here you get to to coordinate a compromise two very different worlds, and sometimes they don't always agree on the solution, but that's your job to make them agree. So here are a couple of situations, especially from the world of engineering, 3D printing, the AR, VR students here working with software solutions. Right. What do you need to get in? You need your high school diploma. You need good English skills, and I'm sure that Educativa can share with you a lot of info about this. It can become a bit technical at times, but you can rely on your high school diploma. If you have had 210 hours of English in the last 3 years of high school and a minimum grade score of 3, that's a Danish grade score, but Educativa can tell you what that corresponds to in the Romanian system. Mathematics and physics and chemistry for engineering programs. Also, go to the program website to find the details. And then finally, VIA Design has an admission assignment. 2 different assignments depending on whether you want to be a fashion designer or branding and marketing management student. You can find last year's assignment on the website, and I recommend that you check it out. It doesn't change an awful lot, so you can prepare yourself for what will be coming and start thinking about, how would I solve this problem? What kind of answers would I come up to the questions that the branding and marketing and management student have to come up with? So that's my recommendation. At the same time, you also learn a lot about what's the program actually about, because of course it focuses on relevant elements. You can learn more here about admission requirements. And again, I'm sure that Educativa will have all the details for you also. The application website is open. It opened on the 1st of February, closes on 15th of March. The via assigned admission assignment will be released on the 29th of March, and you will receive information from us about how to get access to it. And you have 2 weeks to complete it, so it has to be handed in by the 12th of April. So, as I said at the beginning, you can learn more about the things that I just briefly mentioned at the beginning, our campuses, the teaching style, meet some students. There are some student cases there. Something about what life is like outside the university, living costs in Denmark. If you're wondering already how much do I have to pay to live in Denmark, we say a student budget of 800 euros on average would be what you should have to think about bringing, at least for the first 6 months before you get a student job. You can of course look for a student job. I recommend at some point you do that, but not for the first 6 months. You have to focus on getting started, getting to know what it's like to study in Denmark, getting a new network. You have to connect with new people, all your new friends in Denmark. So create a personal network. All of that requires a lot of focus and energy. You don't want to be focused on actually also getting a job there and worrying about, can I pay next month's rent? So bring enough money for the first 6 months. Either save money or ask your parents to support you. I know that, of course, you want to be independent, but still, it's better to have to rely on your parents and then be a success as a student and then get a job after 6 months. That's my recommendation. Finally, as I said earlier, think about starting a career in Denmark. Don't think about Denmark as just basically your final destination, job-wise. But think about whether it wouldn't be relevant for you to start your career here, work for a Danish company for 2 or 3 years, and then move on from there. Right, that's it for now. And
thank you very much, Torsten.
I think we more or less stayed on time. So, any questions?
Sure, I'm sure that Torsten maybe answered a lot of your questions already, but if you still have any,
I can see that there's the chat here. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
No questions there. But you can also ask questions directly.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a question. First, my name is Ioana, and I can speak English very good. I'm sorry if I will do mistakes. In the future, I wanted to study psychology. It's possible in Denmark?
I think all psychology programs are master programs and they are offered only in Danish. Okay. But if you want to know about other programs that we don't offer, I recommend that you go to the website called Study in Denmark. It's a government website under the Ministry of Education, and this website lists all programs that are offered in English at Danish universities, whether it's AP degree programs, bachelor programs, or master programs. But I'm pretty sure that psychology is not offered in English.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Maybe specific questions about VIA?
Hi, so I have a question. It's about the admission. Yeah. I was wondering, for example, for architectural technology and construction management, I know that there you have to have a minimum level at math, and I was wondering do I have to have a minimum grade over the years, a grade average in high school?
If there's a specific requirement, for instance, for mathematics, then it's only a pass grade, which is very low. It's 2, and it's sort of very basic, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I also have a question. What does a 2 and a 3 mean in our system, in our grade system? Because
Ioana?
I don't know.
I know that a 3 must be around 7.2. So a 2 might be lower than that. somewhere
Yeah.
between 6 and 7, I suppose.
Oh, okay, thank
So-
you.
Yeah,
Okay,
but and
great.
I mean, three is below average in a Danish context. The average grade in Denmark is 7, so it's not super high.
Mhm.
And I have one more question about
Yeah.
the clubs that you mentioned in the presentation, but you didn't really specify. Do you have such clubs as debates or theater clubs or anything of the sort?
No, that's not. No, sometimes there are people who form music groups, and this is possibly done through the student organization. So, but we don't as such have, a fixed setting for debate clubs or theatre.
Okay,
It's.
thank you.
I think it changes a bit if there's a group of students who find out they want to do some theatre together, then the student organization can bring them together. But we don't as such have a set club which is sort of go from one year to the next.
I understand, thanks.
You're welcome.
There's a question in the chat. What can we do if we don't have a TOEFL or Cambridge?
Yeah,
Yes.
but then you rely on your high school diploma. I think the high school diploma is actually the easy way in because you don't need to take a test. But let's just assume that you scored below 3. Then you can take a TOEFL test or Cambridge test or IELTS test. But otherwise, if you don't have it, you don't need it.
For most of the programs that are taught in English at VIA, if you have 210 hours of English during last 3 years of high school, at grade 7.2, you should be admissible without a TOEFL or a Cambridge. Anybody else?
Hello, I also have a question.
Yeah,
Sure.
First of all, thank you for the presentation.
you're welcome.
And second of all, I was wondering, I mean, I'm not going, I want to go to Denmark for my master's degree.
Mhm.
I just finished bachelor's, but I've been through a brain surgery 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure if I can start my master's in October or August or whenever you start. So I'm wondering if you can start the master's in the second semester or something like that, because I know that in Germany you can do that. I'm not sure if you can do this in Romania, but
I wouldn't rule out the possibility that there are some universities where there are master programs that start in winter. But again, if you go to the Study in Denmark website and find a master program that you're interested in, then there will be a link to the university website, which that is the university that actually offers this master program. And there you will be able to see on their website whether they have a winter intake or only a summer intake.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Or maybe you can find a top-up.
That's also an option.
At VIA. Depends if they have a top-up of your interest.
Okay, well, thank you.
Okay.
Hello, I have.
Sorry, I also have a question, and I want to discuss a little bit about marketing.
Yeah.
You said that you do practice. How much practice is in the first semester, let's say?
Yeah, the internship in the marketing management program, the AP degree program, is in the fourth semester, and it's typically 10 weeks. So our fourth semester students just started at the beginning of January, and they will continue for 10 weeks, and then they will typically continue working with their project, which is based on their internship. So they work for a company, and then they define a problem together with the company that will become their final project, which they then hand in May. So that it's a bit shorter, 10 weeks. Typically, if you're in bachelor program, the first semester, the internship is the whole semester.
Okay, so that's the only practice that we have to do.
Yeah, and then of course, for instance, right now, but we still have, a connection with the professional world, because just 2 days ago, in the second semester, in the class where I have the marketing management students, they were given an introduction to a company called Small Danish Hotels, and that's sort of a network of 63 hotels across Denmark, and they have a challenge. They have two main target groups now for their services, and they want to expand to a third target group. And now they want the students to think about, how can we do that? That's the first challenge they have for them. The second challenge they have for them is that it's their 40th anniversary this year, but their budget, promotion budget, is pretty limited. So they want the students to come up with ideas for promotion. And promotion is something which takes place in, for instance, newspapers, or on television, or on Facebook or Instagram. You know them. So what can the students suggest that this organization can do to promote small Danish hotels? So in that way, they do have a sort of a connection with the professional world, since they are trying to address a problem that an organization which is out there every day trying to get customers into their hotels are facing.
Okay, and about the exams?
Yeah, exams, they vary. It could be that you have an individual written exam. It could be that you have a project that you've been working with as a group, and then you hand in a report, and then you give a presentation, and then you have an oral exam on top of that. The final exam is the project exam, typically done by the student. You hand in a report, and then the report is read by the teacher and an external lecturer, someone from outside VIA, and then you give a presentation, and then you have a fairly long discussion about the project, because what we want to, in a final project exam, is to sort of go deep into what was the problem and what solutions did you come up with, so that we can see that you can actually work with this in a professional context.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There are a few questions in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Read them out, Torsten.
Hello, sorry. I have a question. Can you study animation in Denmark?
Yeah, in another campus we have, campus of Viborg, there is the animation workshop where you can study, for instance, character animation.
Okay.
Yeah, so go to our website and find character animation and see what it involves. And also check out the admission requirements for two reasons. They're quite rigorous. You have to do a lot. You have to pay a lot. And you also learn a lot about what the program is all about by looking at the admission assignment. So that would be my advice for you, to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Ioana, you said something. There were questions in the chat.
Yes. If I don't have enough math, do I have any chances to get into the architecture, technology, and construction management AP degree or bachelor?
Yeah, if you don't fulfill the requirements, you can always apply for admission with special permission. And there, your job would be to come up with as much documentation as possible that would show that you have the skills, the knowledge, the competencies, and have have acquired them in a different way. So, for instance, if you participated in some math competition, or I don't know, you have to look at what have I done where I can demonstrate that I actually know the math that is required. But it's for architectural technology, it's pretty basic math, I would say. It's basic level. It's level C.
Yes, exactly.
Which is not very high.
It's not a high, but
it's 75 hours. Yeah.
There are some profiles in Romanian high schools that don't have enough maths.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. And there were other questions in the chat, weren't there?
Can you explain, please, what exactly a top-up is?
A top-up is simply because we have both the architectural technology and construction management program has a shorter version, which is 2 years. But if people want, and the marketing management program, and also the design programs, you start with the 2 years, and you can actually use that degree, the AP degree, to apply for jobs. But there are quite a lot of students who feel that they would like to have a bachelor's degree, and then you simply continue into the top-up, and the top-up basically would be the last 3 semesters of a bachelor program. In other words, you will be taught the same, for instance, in architecture, technology, and construction management, as you would be taught if you had started out in the bachelor program. So the top-up program just simply adds to what you've already been studying. But if you have a background where you've been studying something similar in your own country, then you could consider going straight in. For instance, let's just say that you've been studying 4 semesters in a program that is relevant for fashion design. Then you could consider whether you would sit for the admission assignment for the top-up program and continue into the top-up program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can you please tell me how much does it cost to live in the campus? I think Torsten already mentioned this.
Yeah, as I said, a budget of 800 euros per month. If you're looking at the rent for accommodation, between, well, if you privately, perhaps even as low as 250 euros, but otherwise typically 400 euros, 425 euros per month in student accommodation, both in Aarhus and Horsens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it necessary to include a personal essay while applying for a program at VIA?
No, it's not something that they look at in the admission process. But let's assume that there is a limited number of places, and there are limited numbers of places for the, could be at least, for the architectural technology and construction management program and value chain management. They might look at such a personal essay in that case, but the first thing they would be looking at would then be grades if there's a limited number. The thing is that so far we haven't really experienced the need to to actually, you know, keep people out of the program. Everyone has been admitted. So, but if you have you know, a personal letter, an essay, there's no harm in including it, but it's not a requirement.
Will this year of university be taught online? Torsten already addressed this as well.
I do hope that we won't have to do that. Really, it's much more fun to be in class. But if this situation occurs, I think what's going to happen is that we all get vaccines and we'll start the semester, and then possibly then we get into, you know, late autumn, start of winter, all of a sudden some variant mutation pops up, and then we might have to see ourselves for a couple of months. I don't know, but your guess is as good as mine. But really, I'm confident that we will start physically in class in September, and especially for you as first semester students, because even this autumn, where we taught our third semester students online, all the first semester students were on campus because we prioritized that. And what we did was that we said to the students who were experienced and knew things already, you stay at home, we can do that, you can do that. And then we would, you know, create enough space in classes by having enough classrooms that are now empty because some of the other students are staying at home. So all the first semester students could actually start in campus. So unless something totally disastrous happens, then I'm 100% convinced that you as new students will start on campus.
That's great news for everybody, I guess.
Excuse me, I have a question that is not in the chat.
Sure.
What about scholarships? How can we get one? By volunteering or from the degrees from high school?
Yeah, but to study in Denmark, at least if you have an EU passport, if you're an EU citizen, it's free of charge. You don't have to pay for tuition. So if we have any scholarships, and it's very few, it would be for overseas students, and it's so few. So then there is the government grant for students who have work on a regular basis. So if you work on average 42 hours per month, and it's tax-paying jobs, I have to say, then you can apply for the state grant for students, which is quite handsome.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Are your degrees recognized internationally?
Yes, because they are government approved, government certified degrees. So yes.
Hi, I have a question too.
Yeah. Yes.
Olivia, yes, we can hear you.
You said something about that state grant. That works for any university in Denmark, right?
Yeah.
At which university we can study theater and cinematography? As Torsten already said, you can look for yourself on university study in Denmark site, and maybe you can find their theater and cinematography, because VIA doesn't offer any of these
And I
programs.
would be pretty convinced that you cannot
There are
find that as a
none
bachelor program. You
in
might
English,
be
at
able to
least.
find a master program for that in English. I wouldn't rule out the possibility, but it's probably not very likely.
Mhm. I heard that Denmark will add something close to a vaccine certificate that you receive once you get vaccinated for COVID-19. How will that affect us international students?
Yeah. I don't know. This is, the government has just started discussing with the business organizations how to create a COVID-19 passport. And the thing is that, and probably you have the same discussions in your country, if you give people a passport, then some people get advantages that others don't get. And those people are the people who get the vaccine before others do, for obvious reasons. And I'm not sure governments are particularly interested in giving, extra advantages to people who already got the advantages of have the vaccine. So it's a really tricky issue. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that one thing that Denmark, issues a passport, but is that recognized by the other countries? That's going to be a super long process. I think we should hope for everyone to be vaccinated before we get vaccine passports, I have to say.
Can we study foreign languages?
No, I mean, English is important in the Global Business Engineering program, but it's not a foreign language study as such.
Will we be able to even enter the country if we will not be vaccinated?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. What we had in place in the autumn was that people had to have a worthy cause or reason for entering the country. That could be, for instance, a job. But also, if you're a student and the student was accepted at a university in Denmark, then that's considered a worthy cause or reason, and then you could enter. Right now, things are so difficult. I mean, everything is completely closed down, but come August, I'm sure there won't be any problems.
Oceanography? No, definitely not. Not at VIA, most probably not an English program.
No, it's not
in Denmark.
No.
So if anybody has any other questions other than that, we are almost at the end of our...
I have a question. Does VIA University has international trips? Like, for example, I heard that into the colleges are some programs where we would be able to study for a few weeks or a month or 2 months in another country.
Yeah, we have
Erasmus or
Erasmus,
schools?
yeah, yes. Obviously, especially for engineering, that's a really good thing to consider, studying for a semester at one of our Erasmus partner universities. It's a bit more complex with the AP degree program because they are so compact and follow a very sort of pretty tight schedule. But for the engineering programs, obviously, that is something to consider.
That's very interesting. Thank you.
How can we contact other students at your university?
I would say go to the Facebook page called Keeping Up with VIA.
There's also a very large group of students that applied through EDMUNDO. It's called Viitor și Actual Studenți EDMUNDO. And there you will have a lot of students and you can ask questions to them as well. What do you think about government discussions reducing English thought courses?
What was the question?
What do you think about the government discussing reducing English thought courses? So the government are planning to reduce the English thought courses?
I would, I mentioned this thing about the government grant for students that you can get if you work.
Mm-hmm.
I won't hide the fact that this is something which really concerns the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of solutions they're going to come up with, we don't know. One of them could be to reduce the number of English taught programs.
Mm-hmm.
But we really don't know anything about what's going to happen. I mean, we say to because we are of course asked to provide input to the government's thinking and planning and the ideas, and we say that there are really a lot of programs, especially engineering, where we need engineering graduates in Denmark. So it would be really a not very good idea to cut back those programs. What's going to happen? I don't know. We're anxious to know.
Can we study global science?
No. I mean, what is global science?
Cinematography again.
Study global business engineering instead. That would be the answer.
Sure. I think we're coming to the end of our meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Torsten, for everything, for your presentation and for answering all our applicants' questions.
Yeah.
And everybody, if you would like to apply to VIA or to any other academy or university college in Denmark, you can write to us at edmundo@educativa.ro, and we will definitely get in contact and help you out with your applications. And of course, choosing the right programs.
And remember the deadline, 15th of March.
Yes, which is very close.
Yeah, which is very close. And don't try to upload 5 minutes to 12 on the 15th of March, because you always know what happens when you do things last minute. Your computer breaks down or your internet connection is lost.
No, or Optagelse shuts down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So thank you for joining us. That was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And for the questions that you offered.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.